obviously, something that's interesting about this that stands out to me a bit more than the Storm, because a lot of teams have been playing this and rating it very highly as a first phase pick. I think T1 rates Shadow Shaman higher than any other team.
Yes.
They're first phasing this hero, and just looking at the overall pick order, who had complete first pick here?
It would have been...
a little bit of calculated backwards here.
I think it would have been Gladiator.
I think so too, right?
Yes.
And T1 is dire right now, right?
Yes.
Which is interesting because the reason Shaman went so high in priority is the Roche, obviously the Roche potential. So a lot of teams, particularly in Europe, has been taking it as a Radiant hero because obviously easier Roche potential. But a couple of teams, both in SA and SEA, have discovered that when you play when your Roche taker is a support, you can kind of sneak it with a simple smoke, because it's actually much easier. And Shaman missing from the map is not something you can actually check Roche for. And they've been doing Roches like minute 10, 11. And it's not so much about the map control that you have with Radiant to take Roche, but the surprise factor of Dire taking a Roche early and denying that advantage from Radiant.
It's definitely something that they could be looking for. I think in this tournament in general, I would say teams have been paying very much more attention to Roche than I'm used to seeing.
Yes.
Like, we've had very few sneaks, and the teams that do discover it also discover it earlier than usual. So I think the teams have just really improved a lot in keeping tabs on the Roshan pit in general.
True.
So on top of that, Gaming Gladiators also have some really good heroes for contesting that pit if it comes to it. Like Enchantress can scout it with a creep. You have Storm Spirit who can try to snipe it and steal it, or at least get vision. So I don't think it's going to be that easy of a task for T1, but definitely a big part of the reason they're picking this hero, together with Pugna, also just like really strong abilities to take early towers, right? Try to limit the map space that Gaming Gladiators get to play with.
I have a suggestion. I'm allowed one.
Mirana?
I'm allowed one bad suggestion and one good.
Okay, which one's
per
this?
game? For GAIMIN Gladiators, they're not going to pick it yet. It's going to be a 5th pick, but they're not going to see it coming because nobody picks this hero anymore. His name is Lifestealer. It's a very good Lifestealer game.
Why?
You have a Nullifier builder. Rage against all these heroes is amazing, and you have a bomb for Storm Spirit.
I don't think it's a Nullifier builder, right? It's more like you build Nullifier because the crep counters you.
Yes, he's a Nullifier builder, though, because he does build it to Ava.
You know what's actually so on point about your analysis? Enchant actually spells offensively. So you won't even need it. That's how smart you are. You actually guessed that perfectly.
Yeah, so as he pointed out, he's a Nullifier buyer, but he won't have to buy it, and therefore it doesn't matter.
Now he'll be using Enchant on creep, so it'll always be on cooldown. So you need that Nullifier anyway.
Oh,
Okay, that's good.
That's actually a really good point. Like, players, when you play Dota, don't really play around each other very well.
No.
But these teams do, so they will work together.
Sometimes.
And right now, they will work together by picking Nyx, because he is insane in this game. They will not pick Nyx.
That looks
unfortunate.
weird. You know, this is one of the few teams that actually consistently plays the Bane in the 4 position.
Yep.
For Tofu.
Yeah.
You know,
And often in combination with the Enchantress.
it's true. Because Celery will dominate the lane, and Tofu gets a lot more space to farm. We've seen the strength of the Ags.
My goodness.
And this is also one of the teams I've noticed. If you actually checked their Dota, a lot of their Dota accounts, right, that they have. Celery was practicing a lot of CM and Winter Wyvern before the major, which showed to me he thinks Zoo is kind of back in meta. And that's why we're seeing Ace practicing a lot of Beastmaster Lycan and the Visage as well. And we know Ace is kind of one of those. He used to play those heroes as carry, so he just moved.
All right, I've had one suggestion. This is my second, and I won't talk the rest of the panel, I promise, okay?
Thank
So the
God.
first was Lifestealer.
Yeah.
If it's not Lifestealer, this is for GAIMIN again.
Okay.
It's Juggernaut, okay?
Well, most of Dairatcho's heroes have been banned out in the 2nd phase in the CK, the Bloodseeker, and the Monkey King, so he has to play something new. We'll find out what that is. We will get the Carolina, and to be honest, I think that guy is... I mean, he is the real carry. In this game, Gabby, maybe he'll be the one playing the Bristleback, but it's Carl you should keep your eyes on because his Lina is pretty crazy. And Lycan has not been having success for Gaming Gladiators yet. We did see it win earlier today in the hands of 33, and we'll see how Ace does this time around. I also want to point out that Enchantress for Gaming Gladiators, 100% win rate so far.
How many games?
That is 3 games in the group stages, which is pretty impressive considering they went, I guess they went 8-4. I guess it's 6-4 games they actually played. So out of the 6 games they won, 3 of them were with Enchantress.
Good.
Pretty decent.
I guess it's also worth highlighting that this Bristleback pick was what Liquid ran against Gaming Gladiators when they stomped them when they were running a Lycan strat.
Exactly.
But in that game, I think the conditions for Bristle were better than this one. I think this time around, Gaming Gladiators are a little less one-dimensional, and T1's lineup is, as crazy as this might sound, I actually think they're slower at pushing than what Liquid could do in that game. Liquid had a Visage strategy with... I'm trying to remember
It was a
mid
mid-Visage for Mickey, I believe.
Yeah,
he went Aura Builder.
they were super strong, super fast, and Gaming Gladiators had a very slow lineup because they last picked a PA carry.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to make the same mistake
It was
again.
Van carry, I remember.
No, they had a PA
PA.
that game.
Are you sure? Oh, okay.
100%.
Never mind.
They might, but they've played it more than once. They might have had a Lycan Sven in another game, but not in that one.
Because I remember like
They did have a Lycan Sven against TSM when they played.
That was it. That was the game. Yeah,
series,
they also got destroyed as well because they were a bit slower. So I do find the Gaming Gladiators kind of been tuning this out, and hopefully Duracho picks a faster carry this time. But with Bristleback, you usually want to pick a faster carry anyway. So I'm hoping to see, honestly, a nurse or something like that would be nice.
Yeah, the thing that makes PA so good against Bristol in theory is that she's one of the carries that could just overpower him really easily. Actually going to ban it here, T1. So
because the shard as well.
The shard primarily, right? You just break him yourself and just kill him off very quickly with Wolf Bite on you as well. T1 are still going to respect it though, unlike Liquid in that series that we had, because Liquid were like, we're just going to run you over if you pick this hero, and they were right. That's exactly what happened. Gaming Gladiators this time around, I think the Enchantress is going to play a really key role in the... It always plays a key role in the early lane stage, but I think they specifically picked this against Shaman as a solution. Shaman is a very adept laner in the way T1 play it, but Ench really shuts him down super hard if she comes in with any decent creep, like Chain Lightning Harpy, or, I mean, anything you can imagine, Mana Burn creep. Just controls the lane really, really well.
Also, we've seen some enchanters starting to play the Whirlwind, the Wild Wing Ripper a lot.
Yeah.
And what you can do is you can use it on your teammates and actually move them away from the potential shackles, and that really disturbs the early game ganks for the Shaman, especially. It's gonna be a tiny in the end.
Faster carry.
It is.
I like it. He's gonna buy Silver Edge, so it's gonna work similar to what PA can offer. Like, he can kill Bristle on his own, and Tiny with Wolf Bite. You guys remember TI-10?
That's true.
I remember TI-10.
Yep.
I also remember it losing to Wyvern, but I don't think T1 are gonna pick that, so if I'm Gaming Gladiators, I'm not worried about that hero very much.
That being said, Tiny is the hero with one of the lower win rates this event so far. So we'll see how it works out. What does T1 need? Because it looks like it's going to probably be an offlaner. They obviously have some flex potential with the Bristle there. But they have a lot of time to still think about this one. We got the Underlord and the Timbersaw banned out. Mars, of course, already removed from the pool earlier on. Viper also removed. What's it going to be?
Tiny counters, right? There's Necrophos still in the pool, I believe. Which is, there's a lot of heroes that are a bit scary to him, but he could deal with Tiny well. The lane is kind of strong. The Enchantress is a bit scary though.
Carry Windranger for Gabby, and then offlane Bristle.
Offlane Bristle.
I'm just saying it because it's the carry.
He has done it.
I don't think it's particularly good here.
The DK would have been nice actually. I would have liked the DK, but of course first face ban because T1 has been dominating with that hero.
All of Gaming Gladiators bans I think are very good this game.
Yeah.
Especially the last phase. I think banning Underlord and Timber here is the way to go. You protect yourself from some of the flexibility that Bristleback could have by being put on carry this game by taking the two offlaners out of the pool that would totally annihilate your two strength cores. So I think that's pretty wise. If you're... I'm trying to look at it from... So I think in that game Liquid had... Also, they had Coddle Bristle, I believe, in the game that they ran.
Hello,
good
morning. I and Poi and Ramley. Good morning,
mga
pre.
But then they're...
I was not expecting that, but they have run Cuckoo Phoenix before, so it could very likely be an offline Phoenix here.
Yep.
Got the extra sustain, of course, coming out for the Bristle as well, which is great. Overall, does it get what we wanted for T1? Are there any egg hitters for Gaming Gladiators?
There are not. That's why this pick is good, and it's what they're aiming for, right? The slight downside I see is that a lot of the times when you pick Phoenix, you really want some sort of zone control so you can guarantee the Supernova has value, like Chrono, Arena, something like that, Ravage. This time around, all they have is a Shackle. So realistically speaking, finding major Supernovas here for Cuckoo is going to be difficult. And on top of that, Boom and Ace in this case are both playing very high mobility heroes that can get away. So if you Supernova and they reset, maybe they can still turn the fight around on you afterwards. But I do like the logic from
Yo, what's up, what's
You're
up?
gonna go to your towers with
Kamusta dyan, pre? Kamusta?
force a fight, and good
Goods
luck
naman,
with your
goods.
Phoenix, right? So you can kind of force
Last
them
na
to
ng
stay
ulan dito
on
kanina
their terms, and in that case, the Supernova might still be high impact.
And when you run at them, for example, with Storm Lycan, depending on the positioning, if they're alone, then you Supernova onto them. They've wasted their initiation, maybe a lot of mana as well, and all of a sudden the Phoenix lives. And this is where the core Phoenix come into play. If this was a 5 Phoenix, yeah, sure, he gets destroyed. But with a 3 Phoenix, you get more counterplay options, and T1 can play around this. I do like their draft a lot, actually.
And I know you didn't get the heroes you wanted, Suns fan. Are you still happy to see the drafts? No?
Did you see the egg? What's an egg killer?
Nothing.
Life stealer, Juggernaut.
True.
I knew ahead of time. T1 will win.
All right, let's find out if analyst Sunspan is correct here in the opening game of this best of 3 series. We're heading over to Cap and SVG.
Pangit malaglag T1 sa lower bracket. Andun yung Team Spirit at saka OG. Nalaglag sila ng TSM, FTX at saka ng Tundra. So, medyo delikado rin yung mga ano natin. Boom Esports at saka Fnatic. Pagka nagsimula na bukas yung lower bracket. Kung sino matatalo dito, yun yung kalaban ng ano eh. Ay, kung sino pala yung... meron na yata. OG yata versus Boom. Mahirap kalaban bukas ng Boom. OG versus Boom bukas to. Tapos dito, kung sino matatalo dito, kalaban Fnatic. Medyo delikado ang mga kapwa ano natin. And panoorin natin. Tiwala lang. Nood na tayo.
Every time you win or lose a fight and the game still progresses, you feel bad past a certain point. The later the game goes, you just feel like they have this weird inevitability. And even this game, looking at their lineup, oh, it's a bristleback Pugna Shaman. Maybe it's some fast push. Don't be confused. This is some secret scale tech, you know? These guys are perfectly happy to go the 40, the 50, the 60 minutes, almost no matter what. That is their wheelhouse. I think the name of the game in this series is if it gets to that point, I think it starts to favor them more and more. Almost despite whatever hero matchups exist. Like and Tiny be damned, I would still favor them.
And one of those things has got to be just their team fight prowess, right?
Oh,
I mean, I would say that these guys are absolutely, last year they were one of the absolute best teams at being able to start fights, reset fights, and go again.
I mean, their late game team fighting is absolutely astounding.
Uh-oh.
The rune fighting, though, that's another question.
Yeah, the early push in from Gaming Gladiators seems like they're picking up the speed already, and they're going to go for the first blood onto Gabby and should be able to get it. They cop a lot of damage in return, but with 3 heroes here, they can keep Whitemon out of lane. Whitemon's going to continue to use his movement speed advantage in long range to keep poking at them as they try and retreat. Celery and Tofu will make sure they're fighting together. But it does look like they're going to be going for an aggro tri lane, and they're going to be giving Ace the solo lane. This is more flavor from Gaming Gladiators that we're used to. They like their summon heroes. They like this Enchantress quite a bit, and the Chen actually. And they like being able to do aggro tri lanes. What is it about that they like these concepts so much?
Well, Ace used to be a carry, you know, so anytime he can get some farms, some solo XP, he's going to be pretty happy. I think his hero pool is just one of those hero pools where if he can get a one-on-one or even one-on-two, if he can survive it, his heroes, they use the XP so well. Lycan's another one of these. If you can get to the fast 8 to 9 range, he's going to be super happy. And the same with some of these broods and those types of heroes. The downside is you end up in these one-on-twos. You can get heavily abused, as we've seen. And this is another situation where hopefully they learn from that other series. You have to get the punish on the other end, which is lay the damage into Gabby and make sure he's not getting as much CS as he would prefer to be getting in this Bristle early game.
Yeah, it seems like T1 did take perhaps a little bit of flavor from the Liquid matchup against Gaming Gladiators, where they also took the carry Bristleback, and they actually did the aggro tri lane and such, but it was the Enigma plus Clockwork lane that destroyed Ace's Broodmother really badly. But I have to imagine that lane would be a lot harder. This matchup, double range heroes in the bottom lane against the Lycan, but I have to feel like Ace is still going to get something out of it.
This is definitely an easier lane to survive in. You also have the Wolves, which are stronger early. Remember that Brood matchup, you had basically nothing to fight for him early on.
True.
This lane, Lycan has natural regen. He's still kept the equilibrium under his tower. Phoenix is not the best hero to super punish you early on. So he's going to be able to survive this one-on-two, and Cuckoo giving him the tip, but tip for what? For what, son?
Don't know. Meanwhile, Gabby continues to be harassed by this aggro tri lane that's coming out from Gaming Gladiators, but Bristleback is one of the better heroes to return fire, at least. You can see everybody is having to burn through regen here. We're also looking at that mid matchup a little bit, which Carl seems to be doing a very good job. Lina versus Storm Spirit, though, kind of favors Lina, but, I mean, you've had some pretty high praise for Carl as a mid laner.
I mean, I think this guy is easily a top 3 mid of the tournament based on the gameplay we've seen and how important this guy is to his team. He's an extremely skilled laner. And again, as the game progresses, this guy knows how to scale his heroes. He knows how to itemize. This is definitely the player to watch out for this team. And it's almost where you wish this Enchantress could gank mid for this Storm, but not with the regen differential being this large this early. And T1, they warded for it as well. So they were already thinking about what their own safe lane jungle ob. That's an uncommon ob to ward in a lot of games. This is, you know, potentially the strength of March, giving him the heads up.
Ace, the 2-1-2 matchup, it's going to be good enough. They do manage to kill the Lycan, so they weren't able to shut him down experience-wise as much as that previous lane that we were talking about. But meanwhile, the aggro tri-lane does manage to find its own kill, and Gabby is also very, very low. In fact, they're going to go for the kill. He's got 5 stick charges, but they couldn't get the toss backwards. They didn't even necessarily need it.
Quill
if they just hit a toss straight up in the air. They do manage to get it. Celery just ducks forward with the Enchantress's extra movement speed. She is the one impetus required to get the kill.
And double range creep going down after that Bristle death, so he's definitely not happy about that one.
Oh yeah, that's,
you know, maybe if you end up in these region X-rays but you get the XP, you can kind of justify it, but that's gonna hurt. At the flip side, that's kind of the one lane that's going well for Gaming Gladiators. The other two, not looking amazing. Again, Ace in the 1v2. Okay, you can accept the trade-off there as long as you can pay it back later in the game. But this mid lane it's getting a little dangerous. Carl's almost a full level ahead here.
Yeah.
T1, they're looking to abuse it. Zephyr, he's poking his head in and out here.
Gaming Gladiators did have a pretty defensive high ground ward that spotted Zephyr's rotations over here, so that's why Boom's playing the far left-hand side and not trying to get any CS right now. He knows once he pops his head forward, if he gets hit by an LSA, he's going to get followed up by a Shackle. So he's going to wait until Celery gets here, and Celery is indeed in the neighborhood now, so probably not the creep he wanted, but he's going to stack it up, at least for the Storm Spirit.
Perhaps not the creep he deserved, but
oh, they're actually going to switch the lanes.
Yeah, I mean, normally if you do this, you'd like to be able to gank for it with the numbers and then swap it up, but
yeah,
their heroes are just not designed to do it, so
that's true.
Trying to make the best of the situation. I mean, Bristle can function okay from the off lane, especially if he gets some of that triangle stacked later. And this is probably the matchup they wanted in the first place.
Right.
This Bristle Lycan. The downside is now Lycan's level 5, and you're putting this Phoenix in the safe lane. It's a bit more awkward at this point in the game, so they're not going to get exactly what they would have wanted ideally.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I question whether or not, like, being a level behind, how much pressure Bristleback's going to be able to put in there. But I guess with Shadow Shaman, one of the best supports you can ask for in a 1v2 scenario, maybe they will be able to keep him down. But Carl, he's being pressured right now. He's got the rest of his supports right behind him. They're going to actually Hurricane him into the Storm Spirit, but that's perfect for Carl. He turns around, blasts down the Storm Spirit with the help of Zephyr and Whitemon. And unfortunately for Carl, he really wanted the rune as well. They're not going to get that. Instead, they're going to try and kill the hard camp creep. He's forced to pop the Fairy Fire to stay alive. But no refill on the bottle. He'll have to get all that regen from his support.
This is a mid lane where you definitely want to win those rune fights, and that's why we're seeing 6 heroes there at 6 minutes. These power runes are super pivotal for Storm. It's one of the things about this hero that accelerates him so fast. If he can shove the wave in and help his team secure him for himself, it goes a long way. So I'm excited to see the T1 understand this, and they're pressuring that mid lane off the back of that lean advantage too.
Double damage, Cuckoo in trouble. He had already used the Icarus dive. He had been doing a really good job. Actually, he's going to give him a... Oh, no! He wanted to click across and he blocked him with the ward. Oh, no. You saw Cuckoo. He was pinging that one.
I'm glad he's laughing about it.
Yeah. He probably figured, man, maybe it was a bit of a long shot. Either way, he gets to reset. He was doing a good job of pressuring the Tiny, though. He was doing a really great job with those Fire Spirits, but...
That is a point where you will be happy as that matchup progresses later in the game. This is one of the better matchups versus Tiny in general.
Yeah.
It's very rare you can kill the egg. Though I do wonder with this, the new tech, the Moon Shard builds, maybe it flips the script a little bit, you know? Maybe we're going to see some Tiny killing some eggs instead of the other way around.
Yeah, it could be. You're talking about the Moon Shard rush that we're seeing out of these Tinies.
I mean, he's got it queued up. He already knows.
Yeah. So that will be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
He's still a melee hero, and if he gets hit by Fire Spirits, I have to manage it's still going to be a struggle. But, yeah, I mean, if he can get some hits in,
I mean, even him being able to get 1 to 3 as opposed to 0
Sure.
could be a big deal, right?
Yeah, especially in the first couple of eggs, for sure. Storm's
Or
here, it's
Rune
going to be able
Viking.
to stop the shackles, but it's too late for Celery, who gave away a dominating streak over to Carl. Boom. Uses the rest of his mana to ensure that he does get the haste rune, the refill of the bottle, but still, that was a healthy amount of net worth. Look at the Lina. Carl sitting at 3,500 net worth after that big kill.
He's having a great game.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
And this is one of those games where he's happy to call his supports mid because, again, he was winning the matchup.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you want to happen. I don't like these situations where you have these advantageous matchups, your mid's winning the lane, and then what do you do with it? Nothing. I think you're just missing an opportunity to really punish the enemy, take more advantage, and create an aggressive opportunity later. And that's what T1's thinking about because they're going to use their obs aggressively on that triangle pretty early in the game here.
Yeah.
That tells me they want to play through this advantage they've created off this mid lane. And this is not... Use this Lina to, slay the enemy, not the jungle creeps.
Sure.
That's what I would like to see.
Dire's structures are fortified.
I feel like that's always your mentality, though. You're always wanting the players and teams to be more aggressive.
Well, yeah, because I'm a 5 player, so I'm not going to be hitting ancient creeps, so you got to come fight with me.
That's true. That makes sense now. Cuckoo, trying to hold this safe lane tower. I want to ask you about this core Phoenix and what you think of it. Cuckoo played it once yesterday as well. A lot of people were thinking, okay, yeah, Phoenix, he got a huge buff off of the patches, so maybe this hero's got to be able to come back, but I think most people are expecting it to be support. Core Phoenix, are you feeling it for this patch?
I think it has potential. The other player that comes to mind with this is Whisper, who likes to play it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, he makes it look good. I think Cuckoo's made it look good. This hero builds decent items for the patch. He can play that utility role. His spells will do damage on their own in these matchups like versus Tiny. He always gives you amazing team fight and the heals, the sustain. I think it's an interesting hero this patch. Maybe a bit unexplored. The one thing about this hero, though, is as he gets hit by a tree.
Oof.
I would like to see how the interactions play out in terms of the disables for him to output the damage. So I think that's always a big thing with the hero. Historically, you've seen him with heroes like Axe, Mars.
Yeah,
Tanking
keeping
when he's
people in an
support.
area, right?
When he's the 3, then it becomes the question of, okay, who's keeping people locked in a certain area for his egg, for his Sun Ray to deal with damage? That's going to be the bigger question. And it kind of seems like it falls to the Shadow Shaman for Zephyr, but
Radiant's bottom
Shadow Shaman's not always the guy who can go in and start stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Carl, he's going to get jumped on the ace. He's going to pop his ultimate, but there are plenty of T1 heroes here. They're going to actually pop
Nice
that Fiend Grip from Tofu coming in from the other side. A perfect sandwich from Gaming Gladiators, but the rest of the fight may not be so good as they've managed to get the Hex Shackles onto the Storm Spirit, locking him down and getting an important kill. A 1-for-2 trade so far. Ace is going to have to use that rest of that wolf form to get on out of here.
Cuckoo didn't even feel pressure to egg there in that entire engagement.
Yeah.
So, kind of an interesting turn. They do get the 2-for-1, but these are these early Lycan ults where you really want to get a lot out of these engagements. And again, this is this T1 team. You feel like you kind of win a fight, and at the same time, it felt like they lost it in a way.
Oh, Stellar, he tried. He was hoping his creep would be able to deliver enough damage to finish off the tower. Instead, it's denied by Whitemon. 7-4, and pretty even game so far. Gaming Gladiators kind of doing what we expected, using a bit of their Zoo heroes to take down some early Tier 1 towers. T1 playing a lot slower in that regard, trusting that they're going to be able to hit a certain timing. What timing is that, though?
Bristleback Ags.
Okay.
That's what it always is. This hero is about Vanguard and Ags and try and match that tempo of Gaming Gladiators. If you can get it before they try and do something like Force a Roche, I think you have a chance to fight it and deny the Storm his Aegis.
Gabby, he's a little bit low already, but oh, Boom actually ignores that, goes for Zephyr instead. With the Haste Rune, he doesn't give a damn about that Hex, and they're actually going to leave their Bristleback behind. Zephyr's coming back in, they're going to pop the egg now. With the Shackles going out, Gabby's still alive, the egg is going to die, but Gabby, oh no, he got pushed back in! Great use of that Owlbear by Celery to kick back the original kill they were looking for. 3 big pickups for Gaming Gladiators. They picked themselves right back up after an awkward mid lane team fight and keep up that aggression.
This is the name of the game for the next 8 minutes here. How much damage can you inflict with this early Enchantress Lycan lineup. I thought that egg was going to be nice because when I first saw it, I thought he hit it on the high ground.
Yeah.
What he was aiming for, but he ended up getting stuck on the low ground, barely there, and all of a sudden, oh, there's a nice little egg we can pop.
Yeah.
Maybe that fight goes a bit different if you can land the spells. We're going to see they're pretty low here at the end. It's the power of this Bristle Phoenix. You're going to get low almost no matter what. But just not enough to clean him in the tank. And definitely a loss for Tier 1. They're going to smoke up, though. And
They try, but Tofu actually intercepts. No, he's actually fast enough. He's able to stay ahead of all of these heroes, so he's going to be good to go. T1, outside of that little move from them, they're not ready to really team fight just yet. I'm looking at Carl's farm right now, and he is closing in on that BKB rush. So next time they have a fight like that, maybe Carl will be ready to go. But with this Moon Shard timing on the Tiny and the fact that we're not going Boots of Travel on Carl, it feels like T1, they've got to be the ones to actually take over the game in this like next 10 minutes. Otherwise, I think this Tiny starts getting out of control.
definitely has a decent road to accelerate out of control here, especially with the stacks on the triangle right now.
Oh yeah, they're
absolutely insane, and they're fighting for this rune. But again, this is 4 heroes from T1 to combat an area where Dyrachyo, he doesn't give a damn right now. He's just going to town.
Doesn't even wait for his shard pickup, which is kind of interesting. I bet he'll wait to do the Ancients maybe until he actually has the shard, but he clears out the hard camp at least.
There were a decent amount of stacks for this Bristle as well. Looking at it, pretty even on both sides, but there's another 5-man smoke from T1. Feels a little unconventional for them. They feel pressured to get a bit more done in this early game so they don't fall behind. But again, they don't have some super easy catch hero, a Blink Burrow or a Blink Arena, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is one way to gain some advantage back, though.
Yeah, certainly. I thought maybe they were just going to do it with the smoke Bristle, but they're actually all going to start laying into this camp, trying to clear it as quick as possible. Really great steal for them. Because you can see the way the Tiny was accelerating past Carl already, even without that Ancient stack. So, good way to slow him down. Courier is going to get picked by Celery. T1 are actually going to go straight into the pit, not giving a damn if Gaming Gladiators knows or not.
And this is the power of that BKB rush on Carl. They feel confident to take the fight, even if Gladiators could run in with the Lycan Tiny. The addition of the Shaman Wards just dies so fast here.
Yeah, it does.
That's a nice pickup. We're seeing some of the tempo counter clash here. Who's going to get what while their spells are up? Doesn't feel like we've seen a Lycan ult in a decent amount of time.
No, we haven't. But then again, he hasn't really seemed to be pressured to do so at all, right?
Yeah, to a degree. And also T1, they're just clumped so early in this game. You'd prefer to have the weak part of the herd to attack, but if you're going to 5-man Dota like this in 15 minutes, do you want to just run in here versus Shackles, Egg, a Vanguard Bristle? Probably not.
That's true. Want to be like a lion or a cheetah, pick off the last of the herd. And T1 staying tightly grouped here. Going to use that Aegis advantage just to roll through mid, take that mid tower, but you know, Gaming Gladiators are spread across the map, so no doubt they're out farming T1 with this kind of play. As long as nobody gets caught, Dyrachyo actually having a pretty good read here, knowing that he needs to get out. Sees a lot of farm mid to pick up too. And he has the shard, so this big boy is about to get a whole lot bigger if he is uninterrupted in farm for the next 10.
Hey, where'd my ancient stacks go, guys? I told you to stack this game. Miss him a little bit, but I mean, this hero's just a machine with this build.
Dude, look at that. Celery actually pulled the mid wave up the river straight to Dyrachyo.
What a bro.
That is some Uber Eats right there.
Yeah, that's
delivered
huge.
straight to your door.
He's not getting flamed after this game, no matter what happens. Hey, man, I set you up. What do you want me to do? It's a nice way to use these creeps. It adds a lot to your map pressure and map control.
Yeah.
Even little things like that.
Yeah, this is the power of the Moon Shard we're talking about. He just went from Moon Shard to Aghanim Shard to Blink Dagger within the space of like 4 minutes. Now he's actually he can kind of start some fights potentially. Carl is gonna lay some damage on him. I don't think he's expecting much past just giving Dyrachyo a little bit of warning. Hey, don't farm that far forward.
Now Gladiators, they have this BKB on Boom. This is kind of the big window for Storm in this patch, is he feels immortal during this period.
Yeah. But who's actually immortal is this guy right here, Carl. Or at least he thinks he's immortal.
Yeah, Gladiators think there's people behind him, but he's actually alone here. This is the power of the Aegis. This is how you want to use it. Instill the fear.
Yeah.
Even when it's not the reality.
And I feel like maybe if it was just the Aegis, they might have committed to that Lina kill and be like, oh no, we can kill him twice. But Aegis and BKB, I mean, that just looks like something you don't want to commit to. Carl is going to survive through the tiny combo, but the Storm Spirit is going to be there. And actually will finish off the Aegis and maybe get Whitemon as well. Yeah, with that BKB, it's going to be pretty damn easy. Carl's Aegis gets burned. The rest of Gaming Gladiators aren't in a position to go for more because some of them are currently trying to push out top. Ace, he's going to pop his ultimate here, out of perhaps a little bit of fear of getting caught and maybe seeing an opportunity to go for more. They're going to be able to catch it with the Fiend's Grip, the Phoenix on the side, while Ace is making sure the rest of them are tucked underneath their tier 2 tower,
Ace
afraid for their lives.
They know they're stuck under this tier 2. 2 heroes dead and the biggest team fighter.
And the tier 2 about to fall as well, so there won't be any TP rotations. One last one coming in. Duracchio's going to be the first one to jump in with his Blink Dagger. They spotted Zephyr, and Boom will collect. Dominating streak for him now.
Feels like Gladiators weathered that early part of the 5-man storm by T1 super well, got to their item timings, and now they can pick and choose the fights because, again, who is going to start stuff for this T1 lineup? That is the downside of their heroes right now. It's all on this Shaman. He's not finding anything that he wants to find at this point, so yeah. Gladiators are going to be able to dictate the next 10, almost feels like 10 minutes. That's such a long time in Dota, but...
And it also feels like with this like early BKB rush of Carl, it just felt like that's not T1, you know? I expect Carl to be going for that the fast boots of travel and to be like out farming the enemy by playing all over the map with the bots. But because he went to BKB first, we thought they were going to try and do something in that 15-minute window. Couldn't get anything real done besides the Roshan pickup. And now feels like they're going to be falling pretty far behind and maybe not being able to scale, which we've said is one of the key components to a lot of T1's success over the last year or two.
Does feel like that, but that's where this team is deceptive.
That's the deceptive part?
The second you think they're not scaling, suddenly fights might become a little challenging, you know? And that is still the power of their lineup. Their heroes are very difficult to run into and just commit to the fight. The upside is Gladiator's lineup has a decent amount of ability to poke and kite it out. Like we saw in that fight around the mid-tier 1, they can jump this Lina even if she has Aegis, kill the Pugna, there's an egg, and so what? Storm just leaps out, Lycan just runs away.
Yeah,
That's the type of fight Gladiators really want. But if T1 can sustain through that initial jump, then they kind of win the fight just by a product of this Lycan ult will run out and Storm runs out of mana.
Yeah.
That's a lot to sustain through in this patch, you know.
They're going to run into Gabby here. Gabby, who has a Vanguard Gem Aghanim Scepter, so he is very tanky. And they're relying on him for a bit of ward control here. Celery, nice use of Glimmer TP, no stuns. And that is going to be kind of a constant problem for T1 in some regards.
Do have a Blink Dagger on Zephyr now, though. And that is probably the most impactful item for this team.
Oh, yeah.
For a decent amount of time, because now they do have a way to initiate. They have a way to lock people down right off the start of the fight and force Gladiators to commit. It's one of the biggest conceptual things for their lineup here. Ace, he has a full Assault Cuirass. The amount of damage this Tiny's going to output if he's allowed to hit people, it's monstrous, so...
Yeah, no Helm of Dominator, no Helm of the Overlord, Vlad's AC, Wraith Pact.
It's an interesting build. Bit different than your old school Lycans. I've even seen some pub Lycans playing with the Shard, so...
Okay.
Don't hate it till you tried Zephyr, though.
Interesting. Blink initiation onto the Storm Sphere. That's a perfect one. But can they do the damage fast enough? The Shackle is going to run out eventually. The BKB goes off. Boom's able to jump away. Boom's able to jump back in. Couldn't get the regen rune. That would have been a big pickup. Zephyr having some problems with some wolves here is going to be kept alive by his Geek fam bro of Whitemon. Those two have been together since 2020, Geek fam, and they stay together now on T1. Whitemon protecting his other support.
That is the exact type of fight T1 wants to take, and that is the power of this Pugna hero. Decreps Zephyr there and keeps him alive for the full duration of that Shackle, which almost lets them get the Storm. They're going to get both supports off the back end of this.
Pretty nice.
This is what I'm saying, man. This T1 team, they know how to make their lineups work. They know the weaknesses, how to itemize.
Oh, they're going to try and go for the Bristleback. Bristleback didn't manage to turn around for a second, but the pullback was so long, Durancio got around him and beat him in the face. That was nasty. Hefty amount of damage. Gabby.
Bare knuckles right there.
It really was. Well, not bare knuckles. He's using a weapon. That guy picked up a giant log. Cuckoo. Okay, Shackles. Oh, see if he can get the dive away. He does. Zephyr, though, not so lucky. Doesn't have the same kind of mobility that the Phoenix has. He used the BKB for that. I have to imagine he'd like to be able to take that outpost at least and maybe start posturing for some more objectives. Like Roshan, potential spawn time has started. It's actually going to be up in 2 minutes' time, so Gaming Gladiators undoubtedly want to be able to play for that.
That's going to be huge for them either way.
Look at
this
that
Bristol
damage.
is just not tanky at all.
No.
If he's actually getting hit by this Tiny, he will evaporate. That is the one big question mark for T1 in this period is, can this Bristol frontline and get in the fight? Or do they need Zephyr to find the openings, which kind of feels like they do.
Or, they at least need Whitemon behind the Bristleback, right? Because he has a problem with the damage of the Tiny. So if you at least have Decrepify behind him and some life drain heals, then I bet Gabby would be more fine. They're going to pop it. Ace, they're going to try and initiate. Boom, he sees the opportunity to catch the backline, and a beautiful avalanche coming in from Durancio. No Phoenix at all, and they're going to keep Gabby slowed down here, while the Fiend's Grip also catches Zephyr. So they're going to say, okay, screw it. We can leave the Bristleback behind for now. Let's make sure we get the Shadow Shaman. Durancio actually wants to keep going for it. Avalanche, maybe a toss back. Oh, the tree by itself and the toss isn't going to be quite enough, but they're going to turn around and start laying into the tier 3. This is the speed we were talking about. Gaming Gladiators, they like being able to end games before 30 minutes. BKB going off from Carl, tried to just push them out of the base, delivers a hefty amount of damage to Celery, now kicking Durancio back as well. Boom's going to reinitiate, and they're actually going to be able to bring down the Phoenix again. No egg for a second time. Boom, though, he's out of mana. Oh, no. Traded out for a Phoenix. That cannot feel good. Both cores of Gaming Gladiators, they thought they had an opening there to be able to crack open the whole game by going for the push, disrespecting the impact of Carl.
Carl's just a monster. This guy, he doesn't give a crap about anything. If he thinks he's strong, he's going in, defending his base here. It will be a dieback on Cuckoo. Doesn't get an egg off in either fight. Just nice jump and chain stunning by Gladiators. Tiny, Durancio will pay the price along with Boom, but the biggest thing off of this is this was this fight before the Roshan spawn.
Oh no.
And now T1 are going to try and take advantage of it. Boom, buyback to contest this.
What a disaster. They're going to poke at Whitemon here to Crepify. They quickly dispel that one, but he turns around and just starts healing through. Boom's going to commit and manages to kill Whitemon again. He's going to be hunting that Pugna all game long alongside the Shadow Shaman, and he gets both. A double for Boom. A decent outcome for a bad situation.
They want more here, though.
They're going to try. Do they have any hero? I mean, they don't have the Tiny, so I don't know how they possibly stop these two cores, so.
But Carl, he gets the Aegis off that. And once again, T1 robbing Gladiators of this Aegis ability to go higher on their lineup really wants this game, especially when you have this Storm Spirit. I mean, this goes back almost a decade, but this is like the best Aegis user in the game.
Yeah.
Especially now that, you know, his mana pool is worth a lot more with those nulls, so get to double up all those nulls off the multiple lives. That's how it works, right?
yeah.
Three nulls squared.
Yeah.
That's like 9 nulls or something, you know.
Gaming Gladiators, oh man, if they lose this game, they're going to look back at that moment where they won that fight mid, and then they could have reset and just controlled for Roshan, but instead overextended and inadvertently give the Roshan up to T1.
I don't even think that end result was bad for them. It was just the timing of it.
Yeah.
The end result's bad because I don't even think T1, I mean, they're always happy to take Aegis, but I think it's honestly more about denying Gladiators that Aegis and Roshan. Every time they can bring it onto themselves instead of the other way around, that's what feels good for them. And that was Shard too, right? So
yeah, good news is the Shard did go over to Cuckoo, which obviously he can only use the Shard if he uses the egg. So far, so good. Gaming Gladiator.
Not a very optimistic approach there, I see you're taking.
Listen, maybe that just means that Cuckoo's going to be popping the egg even earlier, just because now he can throw out the Sunray with it.
Well, now Karl can just go in with the Aegis, right?
That's true.
So now, bit easier to get that egg off.
Yeah, he's got 2 different frontliners who can just throw their bodies out there, and he can try and react to it. They're going to be able to catch the Tiny. Immediately response from Zephyr, drops the wards as well. Boom, instant response to the support showing themselves. The Crepivice actually keeping him alongside the life drain, but the Fiend's grip on the Bristleback. He needs help. Somebody help him. Oh no, he just gets beaten down by the Tiny once again, while Ace is trying to isolate out Karl. No wake again, the shard for nothing. And Karl limping back to his base with the Aegis. But he doesn't have a Bristleback for 50. He doesn't have his Phoenix for 35. A double damage on the Tiny? They might just go straight up high ground. I don't know if Karl can stop this again.
Double damage Tiny at this point in the game is... This is your entire base almost if you don't take the fight. Can Karl 1v4 again?
They're just going to sleep him. They're just going to be like, okay, all right, you're going to pop the glyph. We're going to go ahead and deal with you real quickly. Second life. He's got the BKB if needed, but all of his buildings in the mid lane are gone. And 15 seconds till the Bristleback is up, so Gaming Gladiators not going to overextend themselves again, reset, and just farm out the map. Immediate smoke up from T1. They're not even waiting for the Bristleback to be up. They're trying to catch Gaming Gladiators here by surprise with this timing.
Cuckoo wants to use an egg.
He wants it real bad.
He's gonna use it here.
And they're gonna be able to catch up to some of these heroes. Shiva's going off on the side. The TP in from the Bristleback, but again, boom, being able to find the 2 supports, instantly demolishes them again and again and again. He keeps on fighting, and the egg may have gone off, but Dyrachyo had more than enough attack speed alongside Ace. Gabby, he doesn't have a way out of this one. He's stuck inside the trees, surrounded by so many heroes. Gaming Gladiators are gonna be able to catch up to him. LSA, nice dodge back there. A step backwards from Gaming Gladiators. Zephyr also had to put himself in harm's way to make sure that their carry, quote-unquote, got out. Well, really, it's more their 2 position. It feels like Karl's the real carry of this team at this point.
I mean, Cuckoo got his egg off, but Karl just BKB TP'd out. He wanted absolutely none of that fight.
Yeah.
Probably for good reason. Dyrachyo just destroyed that thing.
He really did.
He's been a beast this game, just rampaging through. And even more upside, he can get buffed to an insane degree this game. And Ags on the bucket list for Ace here.
Yeah.
I should say the grocery list. He's almost done with it. This is going to be your Tiny Lycan of old here. Maybe the upgraded version, the Terminator 2.
Throwback to TI-10. Look at this. Every single time, Boom has just been so locked in on what he needs to do in these fights. Every single time those supports show himself, he full zips in with his BKB, and he kills both of them. And Zephyr almost dying there. Decrepify's going to bail him out for a second here, but he tossed. It's going to land on his head. Beautiful ward trap that is going to be able to catch Celery. Dyrachyo is able to fight his way out, but he slowed down the Shivas, and he's not going to get out with a Silver Edge either. In fact, they're going to look for more, and they do find it. Tofu dies as well. A triple pickup for T1.
Maybe getting a little overconfident here.
Yeah.
This is T1 after all. You can never count them out. And yeah, that Shadow Shaman, he looks tasty, but that's your Tiny jumping him, not your Storm. These Decreps have been on point every single time. That last fight we saw, Boom, he jumps the Pugna first because he's been tired of this Shadow Shaman getting Decrept. So he's gonna force that out. There, Dyrachyo does not have the same luxury, and once his BKB's out, that's when Gabby can go to town with these Goose Stacks and Sunray, all of these percent burn. Nice ward trap off the death, stalling it up. This Bristleback, he's still going to do a lot of damage if he can get to hit people.
Yeah, absolutely. So what did we take from that? Gaming Gladiators, like just, what is it, a simple overextension, or does he need to does Dyrachyo just focus on being able to hit the Bristleback and let Boom clean up those supports like he's been doing?
You just take the fight with your Storm, right? Boom is so strong.
Yeah.
This guy's 13-3. He has the easiest jumps of his life. He's always going to find Pugna, Shadow Shaman. He's always going to get his BKB off, and there's no counterplay to that.
Yeah.
On top of it, he has an Ags. Let this Ags do the work. You come in with the tree near the end. It's going to be the easiest cleanup of your life, right? You also have a grip sitting behind you, the utility from Enchantress. If you force the fight like that and make Gabby commit, that's when Tofu will grip him every time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this Bristle's not dealing the damage that T1 needs to turn that fight around.
Also, I mean, this Aghanim Scepter is such a big timing. You were talking about how the way they can play in and out of the team fights. Well, now all three of their cores can very rapidly get in and out of the team fight.
He's level 22, so he's got that extra duration, and he's just biting him up here already. I don't know if T1's ready for this wolf.
He starts making his way over. It's a big, bad rock wolf coming in, and Bristleback is already about to be dying here. Zephyr tries to jump in. Boom's already popped his BKB. A beautiful axe jump that is going to be able to once again destroy the back line. Carl throws what damage he can at Tofu, but that is looking like it's it right here. It's a Lycan plus Tiny lineup. You've got 4 dead with no buyback. That's it. T1 calls it. GG. Gaming Gladiators. They take the speed. They take the pace. They take the tempo. And, well, they didn't make it by 30, but 33 minutes, they close out the game.
Very fast-paced game from them. Even though T1 got all of the Roshans in that game, very weird to think about. Felt like those were denial instead of their own tempo. The early game was a little shaky for them, but seems like once that Tiny came online, he had free 20 minutes, it felt like, off the back of that Moon Shard, uncontested. He has the Lycan buffs behind him. This
Sa lower bracket. Hirap ka sa lower bracket. May lower bracket. Tingnan nyo, Boom Esports OG Boom bukas Team Spirit, Bet Boom Liquid Peligro. Okay guys, this is for today's video. Saglit lang yung laro. Okay guys, this is for today's video. Lower bracket pa natin. Ayan. Kung sino yung matatalo dito, mukhang T1 nga. Huwag naman T1 to. Pinoy sa Pinoy maglalaro. Lower bracket dito mga kaibigan. Copyright tayo sa tunog na yan. Ayan. Team Spirit, Beast Coast. Site din ng mga laban bukas Boom Team, Liquid, OG, Boom Spirit, Boom Esport. Napakasakit, Kuya Eds. Hapdi-hapding labanan, mga sir. Dito di pa alam Bagay. Kung iisipin mo rin, masakit din yung upper bracket. Pero brighter side, onting games ka lang, at least nasa parang upper semifinals na, upper bracket semifinals na. Na-ready pa naman na bukas Na-GAIMIN yung cards ko wala akong ng T1 na maganda. Dito na-ready na bukas. Fantasy cards. Na-ready na tayo bukas. Boom tayo, boom. Yan. Bracket, tignan ko muna. Matagal pa yun, 15 minutes pa yun mga sir. 15 minutes pa yung ano niyan. Next game. Tignan ko muna. Sipatin ko muna. Wala pa. Yung mga ano pa to, 15 minutes. Ay, no. Sana gawin nilang worth it yung puyat natin. Sino yung matalo dyan? Dito yan, Jorbol. 1 game to go para sa GAIMIN Gladiators. Mukhang delicate pa tayo dito. Wala nang live mode. Saraan. Madali yan. 0 for si Seper. Sana yan mga kasi mga score natin yan mga sir. 1-5 si Coco, 2-1 si Kyle, Whitemon 1-4, 2-4 si Gabi, 0-4 si Seper. Paano tayo lulusog niyan? Eagles din, Eagles. Tingnan orasan natin, tingnan natin. Parang nagkikwentuhan pa to eh. Ano lang to? Parang pa interview lang nila. Last talaga ng GAIMIN eh. Nag-champion na to eh. DPC yata. Hindi ko lang alam kung NA yun. North America o ASUS. Pero nag-champion na rin to GAIMIN. Lasting kasi itong GAIMIN Gladiators eh. Pati yung ano, Thunder Awaken. Yung Thunder Awaken, kung di ako nagkakamali, yan yata yung ano. Thunder Predator dati. Sila Monminder. Yan sila nga yan. Kung may tatanong bakit walang Chinese teams, ayan, dahil nga sa COVID, tsaka sa visa. Kaya yung ibang caster din, ano eh. Ang pinagtataka ko saan kaya yung crowd. Wala siguro kung anong crowd. Siguro Sabado-Linggo lang yung crowd. O kaya Sabado lang. Kasi diba sabi nila i-open nila for crowd. Siguro walang gaano bumili ng ticket. Open for crowd to pero ayaw ko ba? Siguro tingin ko ano to eh. Walang gaano bumili ng ticket. Kumaga kulang sa ads. Tapos meron tayong leak. May nabasa akong leak sa, di naman sa Reddit. Yung mga nagbebenta ng mga, ano sa atin, mga arkana-arkana. Saan ba nakita? Sa Facebook yung nakita eh. Wait lang ah. Chismisan ko muna kayo habang wala pa. Nakita ko lang to somewhere here in Facebook. Seller to ng mga skins sa Dota. Pangalan nun? Ayan. Ito daw ang haka-haka. Ito ang haka-haka. Ayon sa mga marites, ito na daw. Ito daw ay leak sa TI-11 Battle Pass. Sa Arcana, meron tayong Faceless Void, Kunkka, at saka Tide Hunter. Sa Persona, siyempre alam niyo na yung Persona, galing yan dun sa Netflix, series. Lina, at saka Winter Wyvern. Sa Immortal, Dawnbreaker, Visage, Abaddon, Dragon Knight, Arc Warden, Benchpool. Tapos Special Immortal, magkakaroon na ng Immortal si Marcy, tapos si Chen. Tapos meron tayong tatlong bagong hero. Puppet Master, Mind Master, at saka Time Wizard. Yan yung mga ano, leak pa lang to, hindi pa naman to nangyayari pa, pero abangan natin. Hindi ko alam kung ano, hindi naman siguro misinformation yan. Kung possible na mangyari, di mangyayari. Yan yung mga ano natin, mga marites for a while natin. Yan. And ano pa? Break time pa, break time. Mahirap kasi lagyan ng audio to eh. Baka PR right tayo. Kaya dito muna tayo sa Dota. Hoy! Si GAIMIN yan ah. GAIMIN Gladiators. Naman kasi gano'n, nadali tuloy tayo. Sarap ng ano natin, kaso nadali tayo. Malas ko rin eh. Malas ko rin kanina sa rank games. Malas ko sa rank games kanina eh. Nasira yung ano ko, 20 win streak ko. Pero okay lang, hindi, sabi nga ni Gaben, hindi daw lagi Pasko. Ayun o. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Ayun o, naputol. Naputol yung streak ko. Okay lang daw, sabi ni Gaben, ano, hindi daw lagi Pasko. Nagkakabalik ko lang din ng Dota eh. Balikan ko lang yung ano, game ah. Wait lang. Wala pa. Ano pa lang, kwentuhan pa lang. Mag-ano pa to eh. Tawag nito. Mag-advertisement pa to eh. Yo, hello. Muhammad Yusuf. Good morning, bro. Welcome to my channel. 1-0 for GAIMIN Gladiator. Makakabawi kaya may game 3 kaya. Tingnan natin kung may game 3. So, may game 3 pa, no? May game 3 pa eh, para classic eh. Classic Dota, di ba? Talo OG. Kawawa eh. And recap natin sa mga hindi nakapanood. Bugbog din tong OG sa TSM. And game 2 yata to. Tapos ito yung game 1. To game 1 medyo ano pa eh. Medyo ano talaga pero bugbog din to nung late game na eh. Ganda kasi. Silencer Balanar. Ito yung game 2. Silencer Balanar. Kawawa yung mga support sa mga kay Balanar eh. Na-recap lang din sa ano natin. Sa previous game natin. Ayan. Ito nagkabigayan na GAIMIN Gladiator semi-tambak din. Semi-tambak. Ayan, panoorin ko muna yung kabila. Wala pa yata. Ayan. 3 minutes mga sir. 3 minutes. Banning pace na tayo. Saan ko ilaw? Madilim pala. 3 minutes mga sir. Banning pace tayo. Gulo ng buko. Ayan. 3 minutes. Banning pace natin. Sana manalo pa, no? So, pamakita ng game 3. Tsaka gusto ko mapuyat eh. So, game 3. Siyempre, game 3 tayo. Ayaw pa matapos yung laban, tsaka ayaw sila makita sa lower bracket. GG tayo pag nag-lower bracket tayo, ang hirap ng kalaban. Maglalaban pa, Fnatic. Kapa ano pa yung magkaalaban. Pangit naman nun. And so, bukas, ng alas 6, alas 6. Ba? 18 eh. Alas 6 to, alas 6. Bukas ng alas 6, Team Spirit versus Beast Coast. And ito ang unang laban. Nalaglag kasi yung Team Spirit. Ang ating TI-10 champion. Nilaglag ng ng Tundra Esports. Sunod niyan, Bet Boom Team. Nilaglag naman to ng Thunder Awaken. Ito yan. Yan. Thunder Predator. Yan. Ito yung Thunder Awaken. Tinalo nila tong dalawa kanina. Kaya andito sila sa lower bracket ngayon. Ayan. So ngayon, tinalo din yung OG. Bukas sila. Ayan. Ito. Mamaya na pala. Tama. Bukas lang din. Alauna. Tapos, ay, onti lang pala laro bukas. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 lang. 3 lang laro bukas. Madaling araw. Tapos 18 na ulit. Oo nga naman, alauna na kasi ito eh. Alas 4 na ito matatapos eh. Tapos paunti na ng paunti ang laban. Isa na lang oh. Ayan, waiting na. Ayan, kung sino yung malalaglag dun sa taas 3. Ay, kung sino yung mananalo sa sa T1 at saka ng GAIMIN. Tapos yan. Semifinals. Ayan, championship. Ayan, ilang segundo na lang mga sir, babalik na tayo dun. Nililibang ko lang kayo kasi baka mainip kayo, ilang segundo pa eh. Ayan, nagla-live din ako sa Facebook. If may mga Facebook po kayo. fb.gg at gsixplays din yung natin. Kung may Twitch kayo, meron din, The G6 Show. Nasa description ng yung YouTube video na to. Kung saan ako nagla-live. Ngayon lang talaga puro YouTube ako kasi gusto kong ma-monetize yung channel natin kung papala rin tayo. Nasa pa lang yata 300 subscribers. Pero yung isa pang requirement, parang naabot ko na. Yan, sa subscriber na lang ako medyo kulang. Okay, eto na. Balik na tayo dun mga sir. Sawa na kayo sa akin eh. Yan, balik na tayo dun.
We gonna talk Dota this time?
Marana.
Why are you having
let's go.
Hey, the AC is blasting right now, so he's going to be warm and cozy, or sorry, cool and cozy very soon. We got the same opening once again for Gaming Gladiators with Storm and Ench.
Yeah, this time T1 have a completely different response though. They grabbed the Bane this time around. I think the Bane was overall first pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a very interesting choice. I don't think any team has done that so far in this tournament.
Yeah.
But they're preparing for the Storm +1, and Gaming Gladiators say we don't care. So that's cool. That's confidence.
Yeah.
Let's see if it pans out the way they're hoping for.
It was odd because a couple teams were doing a lot of Bane first pick. TSM actually stood out to me, and they went away from that partially because of the potential Zoo, right? Like if you like it, then Bane does nothing. But with Bane Marana, I feel like maybe there's more coverage, and it is true that this stops the avenue of Storm being a potential win condition. So you have to play around Ace, if anything, right? So this Bane is good against that, at least.
Am I the only one that loves Marana?
No, I really enjoy
Why do you
Marana
like
as
her?
well, actually.
She's great. But number one, she's evasive. She has great set. Like if you get a couple setups, you win the lanes, right?
Aba.
You kill the creeps of Enchantress.
Kumuha tayo ng
Spirit has no
Jumong.
way to retreat from the mid lane, so very gankable hero.
Magandang
You just-
combo to,
I mean,
patulog
if you're
tapos
gaming Gladi,
araw.
you should try banning some heroes that set up, like the old Kunkka we've seen.
Yan,
There
Enchantress
I mean,
at
there's a
saka
bunch.
naman
That's the
to.
problem. There's too many to ban.
Enchantress
Kunkka's a
Storm.
really good ban in general here, for
Yeah.
sure.
Ember as well, maybe.
It's one of the strongest lineups we saw was that yesterday that it was Team Spirit playing the Kunkka Mirana Sanking strategy.
Yeah,
I think
they
that
had
was
to set up in like literally every hero set up.
Every hero could set up Mirana, and they owned. Mira got a lot of work done that game, and they kind of just rolled over the laning station just the whole game. So I think that's an interesting approach to it. The concern I have is if you, let's say you go Sanking Mirana, I don't know if you can leave Sanking alone against Ench +1. I think that's just, it's too oppressive of a lane matchup for Sanking. You can get zoned out almost entirely by Ench with a Sentry Ward. With Mirana there, you have really good coverage, but then she's not ganking mid. So that might be what Gaming Gladiators are going to do here. Or they're just going to run their aggro tri-lane again and put something safe lane that might die once or twice to Sanking Mirana, but as long as it gets levels and has a purpose in the game, they'll be fine with it.
And with an aggro try, you can cover that nicely. And because you win the early levels, then Sanking won't get to that early level 5 or whatever, then Mirana can't gank, like you said, and then you've won the lane essentially by doing that.
They did not ban the Zoo at all again. And they do not have solutions to it currently.
No,
like this time they have better solutions to the Storm, but they have not solved the potential Lycan strategy for as far as I'm
Mirana's not good enough. Like,
No,
he's
no.
good against Helm, and that's it. And
Mirana and Bane are terrible against Lycan in mid-game.
Yeah.
in my opinion. Like, Moonlight Shadow isn't even a solution because Lycan's team is too fast. Like, if you try to run away with Moonlight, Lycan with a Dust just kills you anyway.
Yep.
You can't reliably arrow anything that you want because there's just all this stuff around you. And I love Bane a lot. It's one of the worst matchups playing against Lycan. It's just
worst.
horrible.
Yeah. He does nothing.
He just kills you. Like, you might get a grip off on Lycan for a short duration, but if he has any sort of army or they're ahead in the fight, he just plows you down and goes to the next target. So pretty problematic. They're going to go for the CK first. This does not mean that they're not going Lycan still, in my opinion. That is a possibility. I think they want to get more info from T1 here, and now T1 needs to... I actually think this is really clever from Gaming Gladiators. Like, if T1 find counters to CK, those counters might be bad against Lycan. And if they don't find any counters to the CK, they can just choose not to go Lycan at all, right? So
what
kind of
does do good
dictating.
against CK? What's a counter?
What do we have here? So Underlord is still in. Timbersaw. No, Underlord they banned themselves.
They
So
banned
there's
Underlord.
Timbersaw. Depending on the situation, Necrophos can be good, but I think the other matchups here are too bad. Like Ench Storm is bad for Necro.
You had the Brew as well.
Yeah.
Brewmaster.
Cuckoo likes to play Brew.
Yeah, Brewmaster's a
How is
possibility.
Pugna still available?
Pugna's still in the pool.
He's not very... I mean, he would be strong for T1, right? But then he'd be run down, and they also have 2 supports anyway.
Wouldn't be good for GAIMIN with the Storm.
You
mana.
already have the Ench, right? So you would put like Ench 4 or Pugna 4. I'm not a big fan of either.
No, they run Ench as the 5.
They play
No,
in
to
5,
be
but
honest,
last game he did get farmed.
you do want
Oh!
as done. That's the Brewmaster.
Yeah, good call.
I mean, if you can still be run down by Lycan though with his hero. His
Yep.
rulings don't do anything.
They don't solve that just yet.
No. I'm hoping this pick does something against Zoo. What would you pick here? Carry or mid here? I guess you know your mid lane, so you could probably...
Yeah, you know the mid matchup,
Yeah.
which I think what Gaming Gladiators want T1 to pick is Lina, because then they would
Yeah.
like and snap pick, right?
Yeah.
And they don't want to do that, so they
Yeah.
go for Tiny.
They're getting a premeditative like pseudo solution, I would say, to Lycan. It's not a direct hard counter necessarily because you're limited by range. Lycan can still reach the other heroes, but it's at least some sort of defensive line that can cover for the supports. And if it does get set up, it can cleave the crap out of Lycan's army. So there's definitely some sort of options here. So they're definitely well aware of it. But I think Gaming Gladiators now are just not going to go Lycan. They'll just do something else.
They go for the Grimstroke. And yeah, for T1, both Gabby and Carl play Tiny, so there's still some flex potential there as well. We've got the Grimstroke. That's the other support coming out. It's going to be Tofu's hero.
Yep.
This is an insanely strong tri-lane if they want to run it. Grim CK Ench. Oh my god. It's hard to think up a stronger lane than that, actually. It's insanely powerful against any hero that doesn't have mobility.
Would Bane Mirana +1 not be able to withstand it?
I think the carry needs to be a really specific type.
Yeah.
Because if anyone gets caught by this rift into Inkswell combination with an Ench having an optional creep, I don't even think it's a requirement. The amount of damage is insane, so you kind of need to do some defensive nightmare action to counteract that, which can be really difficult depending on the setup, so...
You want to just stack your Brewmaster? You only need levels anyway?
But Brew is just trash. Gets stacked. Like, he's one of the heroes you like bring the most salves in lane to, because you want to make sure he has like somewhat of an okay early game. He has a tough time recovering with stacks or anything like that because he doesn't really farm. Also, the builds with Brew these days are maxing passive, so you're not going to recover at all with that.
Another issue is that if T1 were to try to match the trial lane and just put a 1v1 against Ace, I think there's like a subset of heroes that Ace would play here that could crush that lane.
Ace plays so many heroes. It's
Like
so difficult to win.
Bat Rider, Razor. They do ban the Timbersaw, which I think was the perfect pick for Gaming Gladiators, so they're definitely not getting their hands on that. Gaming could even do something like an alternative Zoo approach and get a Beastmaster here, for example. I also think that's not out of the question for just the overall just hardcore tempo that they can play. All the follow-up they have, they get the vision for Storm. Definitely a possible pick here. They're going to ban out the Void Spirit that could have gone into the hands of Karl. So again, they're daring them to pick their Lina. They just don't care.
Yeah.
This Tiny obviously is a flex pick, so he can be both safe lane and mid for T1, which is part of the value of picking it when they did.
If he's safe lane, he can cover the Beastmaster somewhat with the help of the Bane, because he can throw tree and stuff. It's okay.
But that's if that's the lane matchup at all.
Yeah, exactly.
They could aggro tri lane the Tiny and put Beastmaster safe lane against Brew in that case.
I would rather probably see a mid. I wouldn't mind seeing, honestly, an Ember's kind of fine here. Because it combines well with the Mirana. I was actually thinking of Lesh as well as a potential, which would cover and also kick the Storm out of lane and punish him afterwards. But he's a bit susceptible to the burst of the CK.
It's a theoretically good game for last pick or for a mid coddle, except the Storm, and it might just be enough to dissuade them from grabbing it at all, even though they have some sort of coverage, right?
Yeah.
But I think
Storm and Grimstroke as well, right? The combo just destroys Cold.
Yeah. The coddle would be good against the rest, but there's also one more counter pick. So I don't think they're going to go that route for Karl. He has proven in the past that he plays a mean mid coddle if it's the perfect game for it, but don't think we're going to see that.
Yep. They also banned Doom last, right? So they don't have an option either, which is something Karl does do sometimes.
Yeah, Ember seems pretty solid. Trying to think of other heroes that are good against CK. Invoker's banned.
Yep.
Quap is still in the pool. It's also a hero that Karl has performed well on this major.
I think Quap's dangerous against Stormgrim.
Yeah, you get silenced and stunned, you're dead.
CK is good as well against her, and because of the burst, right?
But you can make that
There's
argument against almost any hero if it gets caught by Gaming Gladiator's lineup.
That's very good,
right? So it's like,
hence why they go for the Lesh, right? Because Lesh will be able to shove the lane. If Storm ganks, Lesh just cancels this, right? And you get a good matchup, and this is their strength. They think it's going to be a tri-lane, because if it's a tri-lane, the mid matchup is most always just solo, right? And Lesh wins that mid lane matchup, so it's an advantage for them.
And now they wanted another mid hero that helps with CK. I don't think it's fair to rely on Tiny and Brew. Well, Tiny and Brew could actually do it, but now they have very good coverage. Gaming Gladiators, they
need offlane, right, for Ace? I mean, yeah,
depending on what they want to do with the CK.
Have they run CK offlane this tournament?
No, they have not.
Okay, because EU teams do that, but I think Western Europeans don't like it as much.
I still like the Beastmaster. I think. It's either that or they go for something that's even, like something that's going to crush Brew. And the only thing that really comes to mind here, I think the way I look at Bat Rider might just be slightly outdated, because I just see countless games almost, it feels like lately, where Bat Rider would be amazing, and then when it actually does get picked, it's like so-so, and sometimes it just gets bypassed. But like on paper, half a year ago, some teams would just snap pick Bat right now.
Yeah.
And it's not happening. So perhaps the hero has fallen off a lot after a couple of nerfs, or teams got better at playing against it, itemizing.
As an offlaner, it's just not that desirable anymore either. It's just a lot of teams trying away from that. Beastmaster.
Wow.
They're both good for like some similar reasons and some different ones. Beastmaster gives the better vision, but he keeps up the tempo, and he will get a good 1v1 matchup if that's how they place it.
They're so smart.
Vision for the Storm. The Bat, I think Beastmaster in this patch is probably more stable than Bat for this position. But let's entertain the idea that it had gone for Bat. I think they could have really pressured Kuku more in lane, but this is probably just a more safe, fail-proof way of approaching this game. So
it's also, I think, takes advantage of Ace's playstyle much more. One of his strengths is micro as well, and his tempo. I wouldn't say he's he doesn't stand out to me as a Bat Rider player, quote unquote, right? I'm sure he can do it, but Beastmaster, like in the Zoo, is in his wheelhouse, and is what he excels over any other offlaner.
And you love playing this hero with Eng, because they just align so well around that 5 to 10 minute mark, which is when Eng wants to dominate the map. You come to Beastmaster's lane, he's level 6, he has summons,
And with Grimstroke as
Take
well,
the
there's
tower.
some synergy there as
There's
well.
great
Yeah,
synergy.
this is a very, very good support too. I like this lineup by Gaming Gladiators.
It's kind of similar to last game from Gaming Gladiators' perspective. Like, they're going to play fast and play aggressive, and I hope this time for T1's sake that they can weather the storm a little bit better.
Well, I hope so as well. We're going to find out if they can. And if
Marana.
they can force out the
Marana.
third game. But is Marana going to do well?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, let's hear more from Captain and SVG for the game 2.
Yes, thank you to our wonderful panel, especially Suns fan with his insight on Marana. And it is going to be important that Marana pick up because she represents one of just many more stuns that T1 has picked up. It seems like that's going to be their adjustment from game 1 to game 2 because they are facing up against a similar Zoo strat here, SVG.
They got a bit more to deal with it. It's I think it's still a decent amount on Cuckoo's shoulders when it comes to crowd control. They've got a lot more they can set up in the early game, gank, multiple initiators. Usually that makes it so the game's just a bit easier to play. I think last game they felt like it's just too hard. It was all on Zephyr to find some crazy blink hex shackle, and if Cuckoo had trouble getting eggs off because again, there's just not much happening before he gets in the fight. I think this time their lineup's a bit more well-rounded, but it's a last pick Beastmaster, and he looks like he's having a pretty decent game in terms of the summons interaction, so we'll see how much work he gets done.
All right, let's get into game 2 here of T1 versus Gaming Gladiators, where the experienced Southeast Asian team is actually down a game against Gaming Gladiators, who is a team of relative newbies. I think this is something that we haven't actually discussed in this series. There are a lot of question marks about how successful Gaming Gladiators would be on LAN, considering 4 of their players have not experienced international competition. Sure, they've all played in those Western Europe versus Eastern Europe, you know, like third-party tournaments and stuff. But when it comes to exposure to the rest of the world, almost none of these guys have had that chance. The one exception being the veteran Ace.
That just means they have less emotional scarring, you know, so that's a upside.
Now that's words from a true veteran right there.
I mean,
experience equals emotional scarring.
I mean, look who's left at this tournament that's of the old guard, man. It's Moonmeander. We all know that guy. He's mental nutcase, basically. So.
Yeah, if anything, all the emotional scarring has just built him up to become stronger.
That's
probably walks around to his team. You know what? You want to know how I got these scars? I remember there was an anecdote about him telling his team about like the pressure that comes with TI and saying like, you guys don't understand, like land pressure and TI pressure. They're 2 different things.
That's true. And this is Gladiator's time to prove that they are immune to it. Being up a game, that's nice, but it doesn't get you to the next round yet, so series far from over.
Cuckoo. Gonna take a lot of damage on the way out here from Dyrachyo and Tofu, which Synderen was saying. Powerful lane here. Powerful lane. Chaos Knight, Grimstroke. I do not want to face up against that ever.
And on the flip side, it lets this Enchantress lane for the Beastmaster, which historically, if you can't shut down Beastmaster in the early waves, he feels extremely good. Yeah. And the more solo XP he gets, he's also very happy with. So if Celery can just mess with Lightmon, give Ace that early good start where he doesn't have to invest in the regen because he wants to rush to that helm, he's going to be super happy with it. And Enchantress is generally one of the better heroes at just causing some early chaos.
Ooh, Gabby takes a lot of damage for it, but he did get that boar, which is very important when it comes to this Beastmaster lane. Yeah, that was a lot of damage. Not worth the trade, right?
Well, I mean, you take that boar. You take that boar, but...
it's a lot of experience,
It's not the easiest boar he's ever gotten.
No, certainly not. Well, maybe the faster level 2 will result in some sort of exchange. Cuckoo does take a lot of damage once again. Combination of Tofu and Dyrachyo's stunning power, stroke of fate. I mean, once they get level 2 and they have Reality Rift and Inkswell that on top, that's going to be incredibly potent. But the harassment game continues in this bottom lane. So once again, Gaming Gladiators, not only the Zoo, but also the strong preference in winning lanes.
These guys know how to set it up to work for them, too. It's something I think teams are prepared for at this point, but sometimes being prepared doesn't get you a better result. They are abusing that level advantage, though. That is the upside of getting these boar kills. There's another one.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
And a salve cancel on the back of it, so some early little interactions going Gabby's way here. And it's going to be nice, because eventually this beast will be very annoying for this Tiny. Level 5 to 6 range.
Yeah.
You're hoping you can get ahead of that curve. Build some space for Whitemon as well. This
Top
is not
lane going for the kill. Cuckoo, he's going to get hit by this Inkswell, and I think he's going to have a hard time surviving through it. But Tofu is also potentially going to die here. Gets out the last hit before Tofu goes down, so they do get the first blood for Dyrachyo. Dyrachyo will even deliver a couple blows to Zephyr as well. He just keeps on swinging. Keeps on hitting the Chaos Strike. Gets actually a second level of it as well, so no Reality Rift.
Where was that drunken brawler toggle? Could have gone for that evasion on the last hit.
Oh, true. True. Cuckoo.
This is the new tech, man. You gotta bust it out.
Yeah. He hasn't played the most amount of games of Brewmaster lately. Just 1 or 2 pubs of late.
Oh, this guy's Brewmaster is good. I'll tell you firsthand. And as long as he gets levels, he's gonna be pretty happy here. Ideally with this hero, you'd like to get to level 6 before the carry, and you can just solo kill him. That's the real power of this hero.
Yeah.
Feels like I haven't seen that in forever, because the early waves are difficult, especially versus a Grim CK, but...
Ace, he's going to get tossed back here into Whitemon. Whitemon's pretty low. Ace is not going to try and trade out the kills. He'll hide in the trees, and both will survive as a result. The boar does actually get denied by Celery, so something small that he can pull off. But they're just about to hit that crucial level 3 point, which is, I think, where the Beastmaster starts becoming way different to lane against.
Level 3 Helm of Iron Will. Now he's a real hero, you know?
True. Oh, he actually brought raindrops to lane, so Cuckoo knows he just has to try and tank up as much as possible to deal with the 100-0 possibility. As they just keep on going, and they've actually brought him down to half health again.
He went 1-0-2, so trying to abuse this new Drunken Brawler gives him some early extra armor, which is nice versus Chaos Knight. On top of the magic resist. Pretty interesting way to try and play the lane.
Yeah, that is interesting. 3 armor, that's quite a bit. We saw Whitemon earlier, just suiciding into the tier 2 tower. Gets a reset. Celery actually does open up the hard camp, so let's see if he can protect it for that 5-minute mark. If he can have that hard camp open with the siege wagon coming in a minute's time, that's going to be that could be a lot of time here.
This is a tough lane for T1 to play for the next few minutes, just because Whitemon, he doesn't really want to interact with these boars and the summons, and at the same time, he can't leave Gabby alone. So it's a question of how do you weather this storm that is inevitably building up here.
Top lane going in for again, Cuckoo. Trying to protect himself. 2 seconds stun. Dyrachyo's going to need some big crits coming in here, but not actually getting it.
There's those toggles.
Whiff or 2. Good job.
Got the miss.
He did. He got
Sends a message.
Value miss. That's better than any amount
Oh, they're
of armor.
bold.
Gets the leap away before it does land. Siege wagons are coming in now, so expect some moves around the map.
I wouldn't be surprised to see this Zephyr Mirana go bottom here. Potentially try and kill this beast before he gets level 5 and 6 off a sleep or something.
Yeah.
Even if you kill his catapult, you're going to feel... It's going to relieve a little bit of pressure off this Tiny.
At the same time, it almost seems like the opposite. Celery's just like... He's actually going to leave the Beastmaster. They're not afraid of that kind of gank. He's going to
rune.
Put pressure.
More important.
That's true.
Zephyr
Especially
feels
for
the
Storm. Storm is going to get hit by the split earth from the high ground of Carl, and he'll snag that one away from Boom. And Boom actually has to use all his mana too, so that's a double win right there.
Seems like T1 has won the majority of these rune fights in both games. RNG going their way a little bit.
Yeah. Though that didn't stop them in game 1. They may have won the rune fights and they got the Roshans, but that still did not stop the inevitable push of Gaming Gladiators.
Well, something to be said about it is I do feel like when all these supports go mid, Gaming Gladiators felt better about it because they have some of these lanes where they're happy to build that pressure up like we're seeing here.
Yep.
Like, Cuckoo does not want to be left alone in this game, and at the same time, Gabby, he's not going to want to be bottom for alone too much in this game, whereas Ace is super happy to just get the solo XP. Build up his boar army here. Now, Whitemon, those are 2 level 3 boars.
Yeah, the arrow is going to be blocked out by the boar, and Boom's going to join in here to be able to get the kill on a Whitemon.
He has a roar now.
He does have a roar. They can actually turn this, but Carl's actually going to show up. A split earth, the magic damage, it's not enough. Boom gets away just in time. Perhaps a little bit of help there from Ace with the roar, stopping the hit coming in from Gabby. And a Helmet Dominator complete for Ace.
This Dyrachyo CK, though, the real benefit of all of this chaos, it feels like. He is so far ahead for this early in the game. My God, this guy's a secret Midas or something? Like,
Yeah,
what the hell is going on?
4,000 net worth? What?
I mean, he's doubling up Cuckoo off this lane.
He's only gotten 2 kills. I'm confused. Like, this, I
Must
mean,
have been
one of
big
them was
ones.
first
I don't know.
blood. Gabby goes for the toss back here, but the creeps are going to chase after him. It's a Satyr Mind Stealer.
Or he obs to see him.
Oh, nice play from Zephyr. Dropping that ward to be able to get the vision, finishing off the Storm Spirit kill. He's got 1 leap and 1 leap only to get out of here. Perfect angle. And it is going to be just enough to stay alive. Still, though, an incoming push, and T1 problems around as Cuckoo, again, as you were pointing out, doesn't want to be left alone in this lane, but they've got enough problems bottom lane. They've got to bring extra resources.
Trying to defend this tower, but this zoo is slowly building up, you know. Started out as a little local petting zoo. Now we're upgrading to the, what is it, Metropolitan Center?
Sure. Uh-oh. It's going to be a dead Leshrac. Do you think he should have gone, like, top instead? I mean, Cuckoo doesn't want him there because he's not level 6 yet.
Yeah, it's not just, there's really nowhere else he can go. He's still level 5. But again, he can't be down here. It's just impossible.
Yeah, he's trying to pull the creep wave off of the tower. Ace, it's nighttime, so he loses vision for that roar that surely would have gotten the kill.
100%. And this is where last game, that Lycan, it did a number on him. This game, they probably felt like the zoo was coming, trying to prepare for a little more. But their best interaction is this Brewmaster who got shut down on lane.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Zip in with the Inkswell. They're going to be able to chain stun up this Tiny, perhaps. He gets off the Avalanche, but ultimately the damage was still laid out there with
now
Remnant.
Cuckoo's here.
Cuckoo is here, and he's going to need as many kills as possible with this ultimate. They're going to start off with Ace. He uses the roar and the extra movement speed to try and get out. He will not. Carl runs him down. But that bottom tower is still probably going to go down here with Celery pushing.
Arrow on mid?
Maybe? Oh, nice. Smart play there, Tofu. He tanks it up for him. President's bodyguard shows up just in time. And holds that 3,000 net worth lead for Gaming Gladiators.
Would you take a bullet for me, Kat?
I would absolutely not.
What about in the game?
You think that changes anything, Avery?
You wouldn't tank that arrow. We all know. Tofu, he plays for the team.
He really does.
That is one of the nice combos with Mirana Brew. You can tornado off the end of this Brew ult, and a lot of times you get the setup for that extra arrow, the cherry on top. So it's something to look out for here, particularly for this Storm before he has BKB. It's one of those interactions he might not expect. Wasn't expecting it there. But you got to feel like this is Gaming Gladiators textbook type of game. Already a 3K lead at the 10-minute mark. Majority of that on Dyrachyo, who's just felt completely untouched in this game. All the attention is on this Enchantress Beast lane, which has just caused so much chaos.
I was reading through the breakdown of net worth there on the Chaos Knight, and he was just up in every category over the Tiny. Didn't necessarily come from one source. He's farming more neutrals, more lane creeps, got the hero kills. They've gotten more glyphs, or bounties rather. And as a result, okay, they got more bounties later, which resulted in more. 50 more gold, apparently. Either way.
This guy's got 100 CS. He had free farm. He had multiple offlaner kills. He's living the life.
He really is. And can they afford to leave a Chaos Knight? Like, Brewmaster is part of the shutdown for Chaos Knight, right? But do they have enough answers? Leshrac, Brewmaster, a total free farming Chaos Knight?
Just shifts more of the burden to Carl. That's what it feels like to me. And Leshrac can stand up to this hero, but in the later portions when he had things like Shivas and more of his tank ability, right?
Yeah.
These early portions, especially with the differential Dyrachyo's created, he's just going to shred everybody.
Yeah. I would love to see one of those early Blink Dagger builds from the Chaos Knight and just like pop Phantasm and just jump on the light strike and blow him up 100-0 as quick as possible.
Definitely a possibility. He's stopping by for the Echo Saber, it looks like. And
Yeah.
T1 feeling the pressure, trying to make something happen here with this Mirana ult, but not finding anything. Even more wasted time for them. While Stellar, he's happy to hit this mid tower. Force somebody to show. Even Ace is here. Gaming Gladiators, they're perfectly fine taking the fight if it comes to them. Haste on Boom as well. Feels a little bit like last game, which is how does T1 start what they want to have happen without getting punished on the map for it?
Yeah.
Whereas Gladiators, they can choose what they want to do right now. You want to chip mid? Sure. I'm chipping it. My CK's farming Ancients. My Grim and Storm are off the map. Aces farming bottom. It's like everybody's getting to do what they want. T1 having issues responding to it.
It seems to me like Gaming Gladiators just have much better answers. I mean, you described their playstyle to me earlier as like a very defensive focus where they're going to kind of like turtle it up and focus more towards their late game and their big mid and late game timings, and they're going to scale really well. And Gaming Gladiators do not seem pressured a lot of times, even though they are taking the speed. Like at times like now, Durancio this entire time, while T1 is being 5-man mid, he was farming up an Ancient stack. You know, like he's just getting bigger and bigger. In fact, he is looking at that Blink Dagger now as third item.
This is a very aggressive, very fast pace from this Chaos Knight. He's ready to help his team fight for that Roshan, which is next on their radar. I mean, Celery chipped this mid tower off, I think, 3 big neutral creeps just alone.
Yeah.
And T1 did not feel confident enough to try and stop him.
Yeah, who needs a Dark Troll Summoner? Just various neutrals from the Enchantress will finish it up by itself.
Centaur Stomp from the
what
neutral.
a Centaur Stomp!
This guy's playing for one of these teams.
God damn. That's the MVP play right there.
That's
I'm gonna give you a replay. Whitemon. Goodbye. Gaming Gladiators on the hunt here. Boom. Gonna be able to find the Mirana with that Inkswell combination. That is just such a pretty chain stun. And T1, Cuckoo's gonna be in some trouble when he comes down. They actually found Carl, though. Carl, who you said was going to be the biggest factor in shutting down this Chaos Knight, a big kill in addition to the 3 that they already had on the side of Gaming Gladiators. They are absolutely steamrolling T1.
This game is getting into very dangerous territory if it isn't already. I mean, what a Centaur Stomp, to be honest. They're doing them no favors for sure.
No.
But Durancio came in. He just killed the Wind Panda right off the bat.
Yeah.
Counterpick for what? Doesn't even matter. This is already a very steep uphill battle for T1. This Brewmaster is not a hero who can function when he's this far behind on levels, because he requires getting to his level 2 ult to deal with the effective tankiness that's going to be coming out from these Gaming Gladiators heroes. If it's not on him to deal with the summons and the illusions, who is?
Yeah.
More and more falling onto Carl's shoulders here.
That's cute. Did you see what happened? They waited until the creep spawned at 15 minutes, took the triangle together, quickly cleared out the engine. Instead of like blocking it, they just killed it. And now they're going to take Roshan for themselves. So a 15.5-minute Roshan, that's an Aegis for Boom. So this Chaos Knight is super online and ready to go. The Storm Spirit can now make all kinds of crazy plays with a second life. T1
gotten everything they wanted out of this game.
Yeah, they really
Helm of the Overlord's already up on Ace. This is hard to push. This is hard to fight into, hard to shove lanes out first, because the Storm Grim can play the map on the back of the Beastmaster vision. So we're going to see White Man. You're on a Hawk. See you later. It's just nothing to set up for, because the threat is all on Dire's side right now.
What are we waiting for T1? Is it just opportunity? Yeah, I'm not sure if there's really an item, one item that changes their game too much, right?
I mean, I would say the most influential in this game is like level 2 Brew Ult and Ags, but
yeah,
we are a long way off from that. It's going to be a lot of stalling to get to that point.
Well, T1, they are one of the best teams at this major at being able to stall out a game, but simultaneously, Gaming Gladiators have shown themselves as being one of the best to lock it down. Boom. Long range jump, gonna be able to spot Carl and Duraccio
Nice
right
dodge,
alongside him. Really good nightmare dodge, but it's not gonna be enough to be able to save Carl. And with Carl dead, boom, he may actually still die here, but remember, he has
Double
the Aegis
roar.
double primal roar. Good setup there from the Grimstroke with Ace, following it up in an Inkswell on top that's gonna be able to catch Gabby. One by one by one, T1 will be falling here, and that's gonna be a team wipe. Didn't even drop the Aegis. Know your place, says Tofu. Apparently, their place is back at the fountain.
Or the lower bracket here, and oof, this game just feels over at this point. It does not feel like you can muster any sort of comeback here just because of how strong this Summon Zoo is this early. How well this beast is going to help his pickoff take over the map. This isn't even Storm's best timing, which is his BKB. He just has Aegis to play off of. Didn't even lose at that fight.
So they've still got another 2.5 minutes to utilize that tool. Carl here farming Ancients, but not for long. Duraccio, they've already moved over. Fortunately for Carl, not so fortunate for Whitemon. He stumbles into the smoke rotation instead.
This is the strength of Beastmaster, honestly. When you start winning a game and you can take over areas of the map, he's one of the best at helping you hold that.
Yeah.
Because he can abuse these matchups that heroes have trouble interacting with him early, on top of giving you the vision to help other heroes play very confidently. Look at Celery right now. I mean, yeah, he's an Enchantress, but maybe he should have a bit more fear.
Yeah, they try and burst through the creeps, and they actually did manage to kill the creeps to allow the arrow to land. That gets the kill on Celery. Boom, maybe losing his Aegis here, but first Carl's going to go down, and now with the roar on Gabby, the follow-up Inkswell stun, Chaos Knight bolts. There's tons of stuns coming out from Gaming Gladiators. Reality Rift with the bind coming in from the Grimstroke, going to be able to catch more of these heroes, but the Moonlight Shadow allows them to slip away into the night. Round 2 here for Boom, as they're going to continue the assault on this tier 2. Eventually, backdoor protection will fall.
Ace even picking up a drum to help them take that fight. More move speed for this Chaos Knight to engage. If you show heroes, Gaming Gladiators are going to jump them. That's pretty much the name of the game. Celery's happy to give his life there to give all the vision for that engagement.
Yeah.
No lack of damage for this side, I'll tell you that much.
And look at them, they are just
Cuckoo show top.
hunting down heroes. Cuckoo shows, immediately Boom, and the rest of the team is on their way. Cuckoo's dead. Zephyr forced to use all his leap charges, and the Chaos Bolt was still going out, so Duraccio is going to catch him as well. Nobody on T1 is allowed out on the map, it seems. Gaming Gladiators, they just continue to sweep back and forth across the map, not letting T1 find any of that farm. Look at him. There it goes again. 3-man smoke up. Use the Phantasm to push out mid. They're going to show a hero top. Actively taking that tier 2. Yeah, the Hawk and the smoke rotation, so they're going to be able to find some heroes. Fortunately, the double damage is denied. It also gives Gabby a heads up. They need to get the hell out of here.
This map's just too easy to play for them right now. This is why they like this Enchantress.
Yeah.
She gives you the option to set up these dual lanes or tri-lanes in a way where you can enable some of your later cheese picks, give them a good game, and just accelerate out of control. On top of, she's just such an annoying support to deal with. If you close out the lanes this fast, she can frontline every smoke gank. You have to run through her. That's what Celery knows. He can just play so aggressive.
Yeah.
It's another factor limiting T1's comeback potential.
I mean, they're stepping out. The moment they do, there's Boom. Catches them, Primal Roar, no chance to pop the ultimate for Cuckoo. Once again, he's got a long cooldown ult that he's just never really being allowed to use. And Duraccio on the other side of things, he's got a 5-shot Carl.
Didn't even need the Phantasm. Just did it the old school way. That's not gonna feel great.
Okay, okay, big kill. Oh, but Duraccio's in. Nightmare self-save, but the Inkswell stun still lands on it too. They are still dead. Yeah, you got me, says Boom. Tips Whitemon. GG is already called by T1. Wow. What an absolute one-sided stomp by Gaming Gladiators over T1. They are going to be moving on to the upper bracket semifinals to face up against TSM. T1, I mean, they're looking like in a state of shock.
Paano mga sir? GG. Kape tayo, kape. May trabaho pa ako ng alas 9. Dire-diretso ko na to. Tulog muna ako mga 3 hours. GG mga pre. Mamaya ulit. Lower bracket. Ito. Tundra. Team Spirit, Beast Coast. Betboom versus OG. Hindi. Betboom versus ano isa? Ano isa nalagdag? Liquid. Tama. OG versus Boom Esports. Tapos T1 versus Fnatic. Thank you. Ano mga pre? End stream na ako. Good morning and good evening yung sa mga iba nating kasama dyan. Thank you. Thank you sa pagsuporta. Abangan nyo na lang yung full game nito. Pagsamahin ko na lang sa isang clip. Salamat. GG mga pre, GG.